Global financial systems are being reshaped by technology. In Nigeria, cryptocurrency and POS operations have grown rapidly, creating new opportunities for commerce, financial inclusion, and innovation. However, alongside these opportunities lie serious risks such as cybercrime, fraud, money laundering, terrorism financing, and regulatory uncertainty, while POS operators, though they have deepened access to financial services, have also been linked to rising cases of robbery and consumer exploitation. More so, several fintech entities still lack robust protections for their customers as their platforms have regrettably become choices for scammers who freeze innocent Nigerians day after day. If ignored, this risk could compromise not only our financial stability but also our national security.
In moments such as these, I'm reminded of the words of John F. Kennedy. Change is the law of life, and those who look on to the past or present are certain to miss the future. Today, our assignment is about ensuring that Nigeria does not miss the future. Across the world, financial systems are being reshaped by technology. In Nigeria, cryptocurrency and POS operations have grown rapidly, creating new opportunities for commerce, financial inclusion, and innovations. But alongside these opportunities lies serious risk, cybercrime, fraud, money laundering, terrorism, financing, and regulatory uncertainty. POS operators, though, have a dependable access to financial services, has to be linked to rising cases of robbery and consumer exploitations. Many of our fellow citizens are being scammed daily, then often have nowhere to turn for redress. As even regulators are playing catch-up, regulation seems a large far behind innovations. Meanwhile, governments across the world are beginning to take a closer look at show keen interest in it. Cryptocurrency and other digital assets. Let us be frank. Many fintech entails in our countries still lack robust protections for their consumers. Their platforms have regrettably become platforms of choice of scammers who flee incessant on innocent Nigerians day after day. If ignored, this risk could compromise not only our financial stability, but also our national security. The committee has been mandated to, one, examine the opportunities and challenges posed by cryptocurrencies and POS operations. Two, safeguard the integrity of our financial institution. Three, work with stakeholders to develop a legislative and regulatory framework that balances innovations with security and opportunities with responsibilities. We are not here to stifle innovations, but innovation without safeguards can destabilize economies, empower criminals, and erode public trust. Our task is to ensure that Nigeria harnesses with the benefits of digital finance while minimizing the risks. Let us be clear. Today's world, financial security is national security. Threats no longer come only from borders and battlefields. They also come from cyberspace and unregulated financial flows.
I think it's a national call. Nigeria, as a sovereign nation, is only a state among other nations in the global scheme of things. We as a sovereign nation cannot live in isolation. There's cryptocurrency and POS is operational all over the world. And therefore, we cannot, as a nation, live in isolation without accepting the fact that we must all metamorphose into team players. As a parliament, we need a legislation to guide the operations of these very important digital financial transactions. Why we are here today is to assemble experts and captains of industries, particularly in the economic sector, so that the committee will be able to collect relevant informations that will guide the House and help us in formulating a regulatory framework that will give birth to a piece of legislation that will guide the operations of these cryptocurrency digital financial transactions. It is on this note that, one, I implore our guests to kindly avail us with all relevant authorities, information, and practices across other parts of the world. Two, to equally implore my colleagues, whom I have confidence in their capacity, that they will do justice to information collected for the guidance of the House to come up with that piece of legislation that will legitimize and guide the operations of these digital financial transactions. I call on Mr. Chairman and members of this committee to do a very thorough job and be balanced in your report. It is on this note that on behalf of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, I have the privilege to declare this very important occasion opened. Thank you, and I wish you Allah's guidance. Thank you.
This prompted the need for the enforcement of a legislative framework as preventive and regulatory measures.
The importance of decentralization of finance and what it does to what we're talking about here. The POS business has increased financial inclusion, just as POS operations and cryptocurrency have done the same thing to our nation. Financial inclusion, the push for a cashless economy has also been driven by these two tools very, very strongly over the last couple of years. And all of this is captured in our submission, including its impact on job creation as well. For the challenges we face, I think I'll commend your committee and the National Assembly in particular, sir, for taking on this bold step and initiative to drive this course. The CBN and the SEC have come up with the ISA and guidelines on virtual asset service providers, which is meant to drive the growth of the industry in Nigeria. Personally, I feel a lot of talk around anonymity around transactions is largely as a result of our lack of understanding of the technology, as one of the previous speakers mentioned, understanding the blockchain technology. The technology itself is built to have a very high level of transparency to ensure that transactions can actually be tracked and monitored real time on the blockchain network. But because we're not very conversant and familiar with this, we see it as a huge black hole that we do not understand. And I think the work you've set out to do will help in addressing that very firmly going into the future. It's our hope and prayer that the regulators will come together to provide a unified framework, which your work here will most likely guide, between the CBN and SEC, to have a framework that will not only guide us financial institutions on how to go about supporting and growing this industry. As financial service providers, it is our duty to provide this to our customers. And as I think in the speech of the address of the speaker, it was said, if you focus on the past and don't look at the future, you will die. So the only constant thing is change. You have to be dynamic and you have to innovate. And if we're going to innovate and stay ahead stay ahead and be where we should be as leaders on the continent, it is only natural and it is only very, very compulsory that we do all we can to step ahead of the pack and ensure that we have guidelines. We'll set the guardrails for the industry from the work you are going to do, sir. And those guardrails will not only lead to a growth, but an explosion that will see us driving employment and even bridging the financial gap that we have in our economy today. So, sir, a very good job. Well done to you and the team. And hopefully, as the invitations roll in, we'll be on ground to make our contributions. Thank you very much.
And these are young, smart engineers that are doing great things. As a matter of fact, the vision behind establishing Belema Financial Technology is to bridge the financial gap that we experience within our community. As technology continues to disrupt the market space, as generations begin to have shifts, we have generational shift, disruption and technology revolution is now the order of the day. And for us, part of the technology that we are developing today is to disrupt what you call the conventional POS. So our technology that we're developing right now is going to go in such a manner that not just geolocate payment terminal, but also to introduce the virtual part of it. So which means you can still make money, not necessarily because you've left where you're geolocated, but the virtual technology that we're bringing in will continue to enable you to have that identity that will capture transaction irrespective of where you are. So to do that, Mr. Michael Adeshola will represent the Belema FinTech team. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, and good afternoon, the esteemed chairman and every honorable member of the House. I count this as a privilege to be part of what is happening. We are redefining history. We are setting policies, and it's a generation counting on us that everything we say in this house will be that will move this great nation forward. Having said that, a number of things have been said concerning the issues on ground. Top of that list is the cryptocurrency adoption. The details are there. Some foremost esteemed speakers have read out the figures to us. What has been done in the last few years on crypto transactions alone has run into tens of billions in dollars. This suggests to us that it's high time we look at this. Even when the policies were not so set, we see that these things were going on. And we're excited that it has gotten to the attention of policymakers, and we are esteemed to be part of these conversations. Also on POS transactions, in Q1 alone 2025, about 10.51 trillion was recorded on what has been done. This is saying to us that something is going on in those areas that needs to be paid critical attention to. And on the regulator's part, a lot has been done, but yes, much more is said to be done, which is why we are having these conversations. We have to make reference to the Investment and Security Act 2025 that eventually recognizes cryptocurrency as a digital asset and now being seen as a security. One of the things that now make Bitcoin to be seen as a digital asset. Again, part of what that act now allows is all crypto exchanges must be locally incorporated and licensed by the SEC. Now, these are progress that have been made in this regard. We all know that a lot still needs to be done, and we are hoping that this forum will be able to come up with that which will enable us not just to play, but also to compete globally from other regions who have adopted this and are doing so much in that regard already. Now, considering that this is an introductory part of this process, I will also not want to waste the time of this esteemed house, but as operators, there are challenges that also need to be noted as we go along in drafting these policies. Interoperability is still a thing that needs to be looked into. Even when we said crypto can be traded, whatever it is that this come to at the end of the day, we have to look at the technology that will drive whatever it is that the legislation has come up with is in place. And this is still a challenge that needs to be looked at. Infrastructure, both at the private level and at the national level, is still needs to be looked at from time to time. System downturn here and there needs to be looked into. And so, whatever it is that the policy is, there have to be technology on ground, both on the national level and enforced at the private level by the operators who are going to be moving these transactions. Yes, so much on fraud, on crypto. Again, it's blockchain. If we're going to define functional legislation around cryptocurrency, we need to step back to also understand the technology, which is blockchain. And if we look at it from afar, it may seem to be negating what we currently have. The first thing about blockchain, you're talking about decentralization. We have a centralized control policies for currencies. If you look at crypto from afar, it comes with a lot of anonymity. We have framework in place around KYC and due diligence on knowing who is doing what. So, but we need to look at it holistically. What are the opportunities that blockchain is giving us? Looking at how much transactions have been done on this network globally, we should look at it more holistically, not just from somebody trying to send a Bitcoin to someone else at the other side. But blockchain in itself has a lot that we have to look at, that will have to help us drive digital payment in Nigeria and make us to compete at a global. And while we're looking at it, we should also look at regions who have made meaningful progress around crypto. I mean, the European Union today launched MISA in 2023 that is driving this policy in the European, all the European nations are subscribed to it. Let's look at their playbook. What are they doing? Singapore is doing great on this adoption of crypto. Let's look at their playbook, and it will really help us to progress forward. There are quite a number of things to say, but I would like to stop here. Thank you and for listening to us. Thank you.
I would just like to summarize some of the things that we put together. We recognize the transformative potential of cryptocurrency and POS operations to drive financial inclusion, innovation and economic growth in Nigeria. While also acknowledging the risk of fraud, regulatory fragmentation, and operational challenges they present, we advocate for a unified and adaptive regulatory framework, a phased approach to compliance measures, like the geo-tagging that was just rolled out by the CBN, the use of blockchain intelligence.
Lotus Bank has presented a 4-page memorandum with regards to the issue under review, and I want to particularly state that in the paper we have presented, we have highlighted a collaborative posture that we intend to adopt in supporting this committee and Nigeria's regulators. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
With our regulators, CBN, we want them to also be open-minded, especially to the crypto market. A lot is happening in that market, and I know that Nigeria is actually ready for it. So this is just us coming to the house to say we're here to support with as much knowledge, experience, we're bringing a wealth of experience from the market, to help solve this problem. Thank you.
On NTA Parliament, we unite day and night. NTA Parliament, the voice, shining so bright in the hall of power. We take our parliamentary discussions across the land as it is. NTA Parliament, your source of insights, bringing the parliament into your homes, debates and decisions clear and true. For the people, NTA Parliament is here for you, from north to south, east to west. NTA Parliament covers every legislative quest. Our lawmakers working for the nation's good in the heart of democracy. So tune in now. Don't hesitate. Join NTA Parliament for parliamentary programs and news both day and night. We are on DLTV channel 370, GoTV channel 126, Star Times channel 306, and Free TV channel 706. Download Oya Watch TV app from Google Play Store to watch all NTA stations. NTA Parliament, your source shining so bright and strengthening Nigeria's democracy.
The other committee is assuring Nigerians that it will work hand in hand with the Central Bank, the SEC, NTIC, NFIU, EFCC, ICPC, the Nigerian Police, and other key institutions to ensure that digital finance in the country is a force for growth, not a tool for subversion.
Permit me to highlight the opportunities that lie around financial inclusion, especially around making the digital assets and central bank digital currency, the value that it brings to extend financial services to the unbanked in the rural area, the economic growth and innovation that it brings to our GDP and job creation, the youth empowerment. As we all know, we have highly tech-savvy young Nigerians benefiting from the new career opportunities around blockchain developers, crypto traders, as well as building wealth. It also brings to mind an efficient payment around faster and cheaper cross-border payments, remittances, improvement in efficiency of international commerce and diaspora transfers. However, as the chairman rightly said, there are risks around the adoption, increasing adoption of cryptocurrency. This risk we have highlighted around the market volatility, as crypto asset prices are highly volatile, posing threats to uninformed investors, as well as potentially destabilizing household finances. Mr. Chairman, sir, fraud and scam are on the rise. The ecosystem's relative anonymity has attracted fraudsters and cyber criminals, leading to scams, hacking of exchanges, wallets, Ponzi schemes, and the likes. Mr. Chairman and distinguished honorable members, it's also obviously clear that there are regulatory gaps and uncertainty. Consumer protection is also another challenge of cryptocurrency growth in Nigeria. The high adoption trend around our youth really needs to be addressed. The increasing smartphone usage is also fueling the adoption of cryptocurrency. Mr. Chairman, distinguished honorable members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, there have been some efforts that are made in the recent past to address some of the challenges around the gap that were created in the past. We have the Investment and Security Act 2025 that is already existing, very robust. I think SEC might speak to that. Then we also have the CBN guidelines in existence around the virtual asset service providers, where emphasis were laid on KYC, know your customer, as well as anti-money laundering laws and requirements. We also have interagency collaboration going on, very strong one, between the Central Bank of Nigeria and some other agencies like the Security and Exchange Commission, and even tax, the FIRS. Then public awareness effort is also very key. Permit me to go into, I'm just giving highlights because we have already made detailed submission. So permit me to go into the point of sale, the menace, and the challenges posed to our Nigeria, our nation. Without really minding the great opportunity it has brought to financial inclusion, as I will tell you, Mr. Chairman, and this honorable House, that as of 2025, mid-2025, we have over 5.9 million active point-of-sale terminals deployed across the 774 local governments. And the transactions volume, in value, is about 22 trillion transactions. And not also undermining the economic benefit that it has brought to thousands of jobs that are created, especially for our youth, serving as agents across the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And then the support it also brings to micro-entrepreneur, the small and medium enterprises rely on POS terminal to accept payments today. In our local government, you will see POS everywhere. This has boosted local commerce, no doubt, and customers benefit from low-cost transaction because the cost to access banking services has been brought very remotely to the consumers. But there are operational challenges around our POS. The fraud and the security threat, rising incidents of POS-related fraud, the network reliability challenges, consumer protection gaps, agent viability, and then regulatory oversight. I will quickly speak to what the CBN have done in the recent time. The CBN initiative to strengthen POS has increased significantly. Yours faithfully standing here was a beneficiary of that because the central bank, in an attempt to deepen oversight, created a department called Payment System Supervision Department. We used to have Payment System Management Department, one department that handles policies as well as oversight. And that department was about 6 years, but under the leadership of the current management, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, decided to create a department in March 2025, Payment System Supervision Department, where I emerged as the director of that department. And the essence is to deepen supervision of the digital payments in Nigeria. Honorable Chairman, sir, we have the agent banking regulation that have existed as far back as 2013. 2013, that is about 12 years back. Again, review has taken place around that agent banking to strengthen the agent banking activities in Nigeria. And in that particular review, we have undertaken exclusive agent exclusivity. Before now, principal agents are responsible to several number of principals. That is the banks and those who acquire them. But now the guideline that we have, which is already stakeholder engagement have been done and is already ready for release, is looking at strict requirements on principals to monitor agents and also now tying one agent per principal so that we can have strong oversight. Then there was also a regulation that we released in August, this August 2025, where we have POS terminal recertification and geolocation. The idea of agents or those who engage in the service of POS holding the machine or the terminal in the handbags and move around is already being handled by this. This circular that we issued in August 2025. And with this, it is expected that your terminal will be restricted with a 10-meter radius, and it cannot, within that range that is registered, it cannot operate. So that is already going on, and enforcement is commencing this October 20th, God's willing. And then we also have the circular around migration to ISO 20022 standard. This is a messaging standard that enrich the data carried in each payment transaction, enabling greater transparency and automated fraud detection. Then we also have transaction limit for agents. This circular has already been enforced since 2024, and my department carry out oversight on it, and institutions have been adequately sanctioned for violating the limits. Then we have other initiatives around the BVN, NIN, integrated dispute resolution, and the rest of it. So, Mr. Speaker, and my dear chairman of the ad hoc committee, there's no better time for all the stakeholders to rally around the National Assembly to come up with regulation that will stand the test of time, because every nation in the world today is actually working on protecting their sovereignty, and Nigeria cannot be left out of it. The central bank, in collaboration with relevant stakeholders, especially the Security Exchange Commission, is working assiduously in this respect. And every support that the National Assembly requires from the Central Bank of Nigeria, we are there and ready to ensure that we have a sound, safe, and secured financial system. Thank you very much.
I've seen that it has become a convenient vehicle, an avenue for threat actors to use in laundering their proceeds of crime. Now, we have identified this. We have made effort through collaborating with different agencies and stakeholders, both private and public, CBN, SEC, NFIU, the financial institutions, and other fintech companies, where we have been able to bring representatives and stakeholders within a roundtable to exchange technical ideas on how to tackle some of these issues. Now, some of the challenges that we have seen, bearing in mind the nature of this service, is that we understand that these platforms, these cryptocurrency exchanges, most of them are not registered within our jurisdiction. However, during the course of enforcement action, especially making reference to what I said a while ago, during tracing and then identifying proceeds of crime that exist originally in virtual assets, be it a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or stable coins like the USDT, they are most often times traced to exchanges that are not registered in Nigeria. That means they are not within our jurisdiction. By implication, what that will mean is that they are not bound by our own municipal laws, they are not bound by our own policies. But if we are lucky, we find that most times some of these exchanges are open to collaborating with law enforcement even outside their own jurisdiction. But that is a major handicap, because usually in terms of collaborating or collaborations with stakeholders outside our own jurisdiction that might be subject to treaties, MOUs, and international common laws, we look back and we find out we are not even in the right state. That is, we don't have a national legislation on cryptocurrency. Yes, it has to be said that over the past couple of months, especially this year, we have made several improvements as we see policies being formulated by SEC. We see the drive being taken by the CBN and other stakeholders in terms of aspects of strengthening and tightening some areas within the crypto transaction space. But I think what will really put us in the right standing is it's what we're doing here right now, which is what I believe will, give birth to interventions that will lead to formulation of a national policy, a national legislation. And what that does is that it does not only help us to safeguard the space, to restore confidence in even other investors that might want to bring in their platform to come to operate officially in Nigeria. Look at the figures we're talking about, from 60 billion to 92.1 billion in less than 2 years. In fact, in less than a year, because this is June to July 2025. So there's a lot of opportunity to be harnessed from this, looking from an economic standpoint, but again from a regulatory and enforcement standpoint, there is need for us to ensure the integrity of what goes on in that space. And that is why this is really important, because by the formulation of a national policy, it keeps us prepared even when there is need for an international instrument that will be subject to some kind of MOUs and bilateral understanding for which information can be shared. Let me give you an example. There are instances today, if funds, regardless of the amount, as far as investigation is concerned, are deemed to be proceeds of crime, if they are held outside this country, and have been traced to those jurisdictions, without these laws, we cannot enter into any kind of understanding with them to ensure there are no guarantees that those funds will be repatriated because of absence of these laws. So these are some of the recommendations that we at the Commission will be pushing forward with. And also, the conversation around collaboration is never too early and never too late. It is an ongoing thing, and we are happy to be part of this meeting. We are committed to making all contributions and interventions, and we are readily available for any part that we need to play. Thank you very much.
To us at the FIU, we take this very aspect of the issue very seriously. We have submitted a 4-page position of the FIU, which I don't intend to bore the members here because the Secretariat already have that. So I just wanted to give a highlight. The Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit commend the House of Representatives for launching this timely inquiry into the economic, regulatory, and security implications of cryptocurrency and point-of-sale POS operations in Nigeria. As the national agency responsible for combating money laundering, terrorism financing, and other financial crimes, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit assessment revealed that while digital assets and POS systems have deepened the financial inclusion, they have also become the major channels for illicit financial flows, investment scams, identity theft. The pseudonymous nature of cryptocurrency transactions and weak know-your-customer controls in the POS operations are increasingly being exploited to launder illicit funds and bypass regulatory oversight. To safeguard Nigerian financial system and national security, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit recommends urgent harmonization of regulations governing the anti-money laundering, counter-financing of terrorism, counter-proliferation of terrorism standards in the virtual asset service providers, full enforcement of the travel rule by the virtual asset providers, and technology-driven know-your-customer verification for all POS agents in the country, strengthening the interagency collaboration, enhancing blockchain forensic capacity, and intensifying the public awareness are also very critical. The NFIU remains committed to supporting the National Assembly in developing a robust, innovation-friendly, and a secure digital financial ecosystem that protects the citizens and upholds the integrity of the Nigerian financial system. We look forward to working with the committee to address whatever concerns in terms of anti-money laundering, counter-proliferation of financing, and other financial crimes that are being exploited by these platforms. Thank you very much.
There is no better time than now. Cryptocurrency and point-of-sale operations in Nigeria has come to stay. Whether we like it or not, we have to regulate it. If we don't regulate cryptocurrency operation and the POS, we are going to be in deep shit. There is no doubt about this. As it is now, the EFCC representative just mentioned how voluminous, the volume of dollars, amount of dollar that is involved in this cryptocurrency at its affect Nigeria. How can we allow such colossal amount of money to be unregulated? How much is our GDP now? This 92 billion he mentioned is like 30% of our GDP. The 92 billion is 2 times more than our foreign reserve. So how can we allow this to be unregulated? There is no better time than now. The regulators, you have a lot of work to do. I know CBN has been trying. Other regulatory agencies in this country have also been trying. But we are handicapped. Why? Because there is no law. Can we regulate anything without any legislation by National Assembly? No, we cannot. So the Honorable House, the chairman, there is no better time than now. CBN mentioned a lot of challenges and the benefits of this. I don't want to make a repeat, but I assure you that NDIC is ready to be part of this honorable committee, and it will do all its best to make sure that this legislation has seen the light of the day. And I want to advise the National Assembly ad hoc committee on this to be up and doing. Let us do this thing as quickly as possible and pass this legislation, because we are running short of time. Other countries have done it. So let us put heads together and do this thing. So with this, I assure you that NDIC is ever ready to be part of this committee, and is ever ready to assist National Assembly with all it is best to make sure that this legislation has been put in place. Thank you very much.
In what we had submitted before this honorable committee, we had, from our observations and experiences in the commission, identified about 5 risk-related areas with cryptocurrency. One of them is the regulatory gaps. We had heard from the presentation of the CBN. We also heard from the EFCC. We understand that a lot is being done along this line. We, for example, reference the CBN's February 2021 circular that restricts financial institutions from dealing in cryptocurrencies. But we note that enforcement has been uneven. The Security and Exchange Commission's 2022 rules on digital assets have not yielded full interagency coordination, enabling some exchanges to operate without proper incorporation under the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. So that's one area that we identified. We also identified illicit financial flows, like has just been mentioned. We also identified weak KYC, and anonymity related to cryptocurrency operations in Nigeria. Another risk factor is the Ponzi schemes and investment fraud. And finally, tax evasion, because profits from cryptocurrency trading frequently escape Federal Inland Revenue Service oversight, with an anonymity encouraging deliberate non-compliance with tax obligations. For the POS-related risk, we identified proliferation of terminals, which also has been talked about, the fraudulent agents and collusion. The ICPC has observed this, that POS agents and bank officials collude sometimes to launder proceeds of crime, including embezzled public funds, and we note that banks must be held accountable for this so that they will not circumvent CBN transaction limits. There's also the lack of traceability on the part of POS operations, and then the inability to always link their operations to the beneficial owners of these POS machines. It is true that there are existing legal and regulatory frameworks. For example, the ICPC Act, the CBN Act, the CBN POS guidelines, and then anti-money laundering regulations, laws, SEC rules, all of that. But what is uppermost, like has been established here beyond that, is the fact that we need a regulation. We need a law, if possible, at the national level to be able to put together all these regulatory frameworks to make, for there to be a guideline or guidance with respect to these operations. Now, with recommendations and policy which form the concluding part of our submission, we are asking that beyond working with this ad hoc committee, there has to be a cross-agency task force on virtual assets established, and all the security agencies, anti-corruption agencies, and other regulatory agencies as critical stakeholders, if they form part of this cross-agency task force on virtual assets, then they'll be able to work together along with this ad hoc committee to formulate a lasting policy and, if possible, a national legislation. We also talked about licensing and beneficial ownership of all the virtual asset service providers, then investment promotion, protection, and public enlightenment. With respect to POS fraud prevention and enforcement, we talked about traceable identifiers, and then device geotagging, just like the CBN mentioned that they are working on this, such that devices will be registered to individuals, and then they will not be able to operate outside a particular radius. That will be a very fine regulation if it is fully developed. We also realize that to make this work, there has to be a provision for whistleblower protection. This being part of our national discourse. You know, from time to time, we want to see, even if as at now there has not been that whistleblower protection act as a law in Nigeria, but if it is built into this regulation, it will be able to ensure that those who report or who have any information to give to either law enforcement agencies with respect to abuses in cryptocurrency operation and POS operations would be protected. And when they know that they will be protected fully, they'll be able to make such information available at any given point in time. So we concluded by saying that the ICPC recommends a coordinated national approach to address corruption and fraud risk posed by cryptocurrency and POS operations. And when a legislation or
a policy or a framework is, put into place as a result of the operation of this ad hoc committee, working along with all the other stakeholders, we will be able to ensure that we derive the benefits of cryptocurrency operation and minimize the risk that is associated with such operations. So at this point, we also want to quickly assure you that as a commission, we're ready and willing to work with you. At any time you can call upon us. The chairman is, the heart of the chairman is on this, because when he came into office, he mentioned that he's going to fight corruption, with technology. And this is just part of it. So at any given point in time, please feel free to call on us, and the chairman will oblige your call. Thank you very much.
The FCCPC has submitted a 3-page document, and because of time constraints, I'll just run through some of the things that are in the presentation. So in recent times, we at the FCCPC, we have recorded a significant rise in consumer complaints linked to POS transaction and digital asset investments, underscoring the urgent gaps in market oversight. So the FCCPC welcomes these initiatives of the House of Rep in establishing this ad hoc committee and contributes to this exercise to support the committee's work with its regulatory insight and enforcement exercise. So in our submission, we have shared the perspective and experience on POS operations, which includes economic value and consumer access. We have also shared the issue of excessive and unjust pricing, fraud and deception, and data vulnerabilities. And our perspectives and experience on cryptocurrency adoption. Well, the primary regulatory challenge in digital asset space is lack of ununified, comprehensive legal framework for consumer protection. While we acknowledge that the CBN and the SEC have taken steps to regulate financial stability and investment aspects of digital assets, we also recognize that a clear legislative mechanism to protect consumers from market manipulation, fraud, theft remains a significant loophole. Now, we also look at, there's the issue of corruption and money laundering risk there, which includes undetected capital outflows, just like some of the earlier presenters have said. And then there's also the issue of money laundering and illicit finance. And then there's also the issue of consumer fraud and exploitation. The FCCPC is particularly concerned about digital asset-related fraud, including unlicensed digital platforms, and then lack of redress, where funds are lost or stolen on foreign or unregulated platforms. Consumers virtually have no access or recourse on consumer redress mechanisms in Nigeria. So we also looked at measures for effective prevention and enforcement. Well, the FCCPC recommends a multi-pronged approach encompassing legislative reform, regulatory synergy, and intensified enforcement, particularly drawing on the experience on the success of some of the Commission's intervention in the digital lending space. We have also talked about we talked about legislative and regulatory measures. We started with Unified Digital Asset Consumer Protection Framework. Legislative action is required to assign explicit consumer protection regulation in digital finance space. This should define the respective roles of FCCPC, SEC, CBN, and other regulatory bodies, avoiding overlapping mandates and ensuring seamless cooperation through formal coordination mechanisms under Section 105 of the FCCPCA. And then we also looked at POS operator registration. where I think the earlier speaker had also talked about that. Then we also talked about data protection and enforcement, strengthening the capacity of agencies to enforce data privacy by making clear provisions for collaborations between FCCPC, NDPC, or jointly enforce penalties on operators violating consumer privacy and data integrity, including unauthorized data transfers or exposure during transaction processes. We've also talked about, we looked at the prevention and enforcement strategies, enforcement against collaborators. We're also asking the agency to consider empowering the FCCPC to issue direct orders to app stores, payment systems and processors like OPay and the rest of them, and technology intermediaries to cease supporting unregistered POS or crypto operators. This aligns with digital market enforcement practices used in the Commission's prior crackdowns on unlicensed digital lenders. Then we've also talked about proactive market surveillance, empowering the FCCPC to also deploy market intelligence analytics to dictate uncoordinated price fixing, cartel behaviors among POS agents, and widespread consumer protection schemes in crypto trading. Then we've also talked about public consumer education, empowering the FCCPC to develop a nationwide public education campaigns jointly with the CBN and NDIC on identifying legitimate operators, recognizing fraud indicators, and assessing consumer complaint channels. In conclusion, cryptocurrency and POS systems represent progress and peril. Nigeria's experience shows that innovation without accountability breeds consumer exploitation and financial instability. FCCPC therefore urges this committee to leverage in its legislative authority to, 1, create Nigeria's first integrated national finance consumer protection framework, and then mandate registration and compliance traceability for POS and digital asset operators, and then to also institutionalize data-driven cooperation between FCCPC, SEC, CBN, NDPC, and other regulators. Such a framework will ensure that technological growth does not outpace consumer safety, fair competition, and market integrity. Thank you.
Nigerian police force has taken a proactive effort towards combating the menace. Once he came on board and we saw the havoc, both the benefits and the challenges it poses to an emerging economy like that of ours, the Nigerian police force took a strategic and decisive decision through the establishment of the Nigerian Police Force National Cybercrime Center, which today has become a hub in investigation of all manner of cybercrime, all cyber and cyber-enabled crimes, not just in the sub-Saharan Africa, but globally. We have created a name and we have carved a niche for ourselves, for the Nigerian Police Force, which every Nigerian sitting down in this hall should be proud of, with what we have achieved. The records are there for us to reference to. However, we've become a reference point, not just to Africa, especially to the Europeans and Americas, in helping victims of cyber crimes. We've come to realize that the blockchain, cryptocurrency as it is well known, has become a challenge in the country. And then we took that step. A lot of our personnel have gone through a series of trainings in making sure that we assist victims, especially not those in diaspora and those locally. The major challenge we have had is that of regulations. And that is why we say that now most of the speakers have pointed out how germane this law or this sitting is for. It is for the development of our country. We also make bold to say that one would have been wondering what the country has been doing since 2009, since the inception of blockchain regime in the country. Nigeria has been a part of the global community. And most of the transactions, most of the transit, Nigeria has been looked as one of the hubs of cybercrime in the entire world. And most of the financial institutions on the fintech companies here, of course, should have been the one moving and lobbying for this legislation because they are the victims. Most of them are the more victims of this cybercrime, of this cryptocurrency fraud. It is one platform where we have issues with KYC. It is a platform where large sums of money are moved without trace. It is a platform that encourages cyber terrorism. It's a platform that encourages money laundering in large proportions. Like my colleague from EFCC have stated, the largest chunk of transactions globally goes through visual assets, and that is where people move money. It has become in vogue. One also wonders why Nigeria is just waking up, but however, they say no time is late, and that is why I commend the honorable members. In Americas and Europe, it's being regulated. The challenges we have in investigation is that most of the exchange hubs are not located in Nigeria. When we trace and we discover that the legislations that are guiding their operations in their countries of origin are not alien to us, and most times we have difficulties repatriating or helping our nationals, our citizens who are falling victim to this crime. Therefore, I want to say that the Nigerian police force, we stand firmly with you. We have made our submissions, and then we want to work with the committee till the end of it. The chairman said that these sittings will come to an end within 1 year, that they intend to come up with the legislation, regulatory regulations to regulate the cryptocurrency. For us, we are looking like that if it could come up to, if it could start from tomorrow. If this could be expedited, where from tomorrow we say we have a law that regulates cryptocurrency operations in Nigeria, it will do us a whole lot of favor. Because it becomes reciprocal that when monies are laundered to Nigeria, we are seized and it is repatriated. And when it is laundered out of the country, it becomes difficulties because of laws of the countries where these monies are kept. And most of the victims who in most cases are not Nigerians, are traced to the source of the destinations are traced to Nigeria, and we assist them, arrest, in most cases extradite to the countries to go and face the law. But when our nationals become victims on the other side, it becomes very difficult for us to intervene, to assist them, either to repatriate or maybe to bring the suspects down to the country to face the consequences of the actions, because these laws are not regulated. We also face challenges in our courts, where most judges are not informed. It is difficult. Nigerian National Police Force Cybercrime Center had developed almost the highest level of proficiency in cryptocurrency investigations. We have the largest collection of experts, cryptocurrency investigation experts in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. We become a reference point to countries like Dubai. The head of law enforcement in Dubai visited Nigeria sometime and visited our center specifically. There is an understanding where we assist them in cryptocurrency investigations. Then why can't we help ourselves? If we have such expertise in the country, if we have expertise dwelling in the foremost law enforcement agency in the country, why can't we help our people? And this has been, the major problem has been as a result of lack of legislations, lack of laws, as most people have noted here. So this is the time for us to rise up. This is the time for us to close ranks. Interagency collaboration, especially now that our legislators have woken up and now they want to take the lead. We should be the one forcing, we should be the one leading, we should be the one lobbying for these legislations to see the light of the day. 1 year for me is a long time. Saying that we want to have this done in 1 year, as long as I'm concerned, it is a long time. I want this done in less than 6 months, so that if it is possible, let us expedite and let us close ranks. Let everybody, all the stakeholders who are supposed to make their contributions, everything that is supposed to be needed. I want to assure you that on the part of the Nigerian Police Force, we are ready to play our role. We are ready to do whatever that is necessary, that is required of us to make sure that we succeed in this agenda. Thank you so much.
This committee will work hand in hand with the Central Bank, the Security Exchange Commission, NDIC, NFIU, EFCC, ICPC, and the Nigerian police and other institutions to ensure that digital finance in Nigeria is a force for growth, not a tool for subversions. But let us also recognize the promise. Digital payments are here to stay, and Nigeria must not be left behind. With proper regulations, fintech can thrive. Investors will gain confidence, consumers will be protected, and Nigeria would claim its rightful place as a leader in the African digital economy. Vision and action can change the world. Our vision is of a Nigeria where digital payments are secured, inclusive, and innovative. And our actions begins today. In the coming weeks, the committee would engage regulators, banks, fintechs, civil society, and security communities. 2, hold public hearings to capture diverse perspectives. 3, develop practical evidence-based recommendations for policy, legislation, and regulatory reform. I give you my word, we would be very thorough, consultative, and forward-looking. On behalf of the committee, I thank the Speaker and the leadership of the House for their confidence. I also thank the stakeholders, regulators, operators, civil society, and the press for their commitment to this progress. Ladies and gentlemen, history has placed in our hands the responsibility to guide Nigeria into the digital financial age with wisdom, courage, and foresight. With your support, this committee will ensure that we serve it boldly, responsibly, and decisively. I thank you all, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.